Hello guys. SuperBearNeo here. Today I'm with a special person, Sigma. Uh,
Hello.
yeah. Hey, Sigma. Hey.
All right, we're gonna do this, and we're gonna be talking about versus battles wiki again. And many of you might question about why, because there was a video uploaded earlier to Super Neo's channel, and I'm glad to be a guest here. But that video went over a thread, particularly that was going over a lot of the hypocrisy on versus battles wiki. However, we did a bit more digging, and we found a lot more dirt that really murks up versus battles wiki.
Mm. Yeah, and the general consensus is like there's a lot of hypocrisy, a lot of insulting, and a lot of other stuff that in truth is against the rules for them, and yet they still do it. And it's been just making versus battle wiki less quality than it should be.
So basically, in this video, we just want to talk about a few threads, a few examples, just about some of the flaws that go on Versus Battles Wiki. I know that there are some people who already know these types of issues, but the thing is, whenever you're just posting them in like your own Discord servers, amino communities, on MeWe, whatever you want to use your debating for and all that, the problem is that these things are not vocalized and we're not all able to like understand what they are. But whenever you make a complete video about them, we all know what they are, and we can like get this out to Versus Battles Wiki. Maybe they might do something about it. Maybe they might just continue to ignore it and just go further down the drain. Who knows?
E- um, yeah, pretty much. This video really serves to show the true extent of how bad versus battle wiki has really gotten. And for the record, none of us is saying that like everyone on versus battle wiki is bad, and we're not just hating on it because, well, both of us, we at one point we even supported it, but like nowadays it's gotten to the point where we're just not even willing to support it because of how down the drain it's gotten, basically.
And there, yeah, as Neo said, there are good users on there as well. Like, there are some users on there who just are like active. I can say like Kapleki and all that. They're pretty good people, but when you have the people who are like prominent that really stick out, and there's a lot of people like that, sadly, it's what gives the wiki a really bad reputation. And if we really want to fix this problem, you kind of have to get rid of the bad stuff first before you can become good. So, all right, where do you want to begin first, Super Bear Neo?
Well, for starters, all right. So, as I pull up this doc here, this is gonna be our basis, basically. But basically, first thing we're going over to is we're going to go over to a remark basically that and that his name
Emphysema.
shit, his name is complex as hell. Antisema and Jesus Christ, what's this dude's name complex? I'm just gonna call him Ant, because that's what everyone calls him. But basically, we're gonna go over this thread where basically Ant he makes a pretty remark about Christians, and of course someone's gonna get gonna get like offended over it. But the issue here is that like Tate basically he gets banned because he basically gets offended and defends himself, which as I'm gonna pull up here.
Okay, so I just want to say something regarding this. While the statement in and of itself that there are a large quantity of Christians being persecuted, sure, that's a thing, but to make a statement that Christians are the most persecuted group there is, that kind of ignores a lot of the other groups. Like, there's a lot of Western persecution from, like, towards Muslim people because of terrorist attacks. There are a lot of, like, persecution towards, like, gay groups, bi groups, and all that. That's why you have all these LGBTQ communities and all that that like pop up. And I'm not really trying to get into politics here, obviously. We're not trying to dispute that. But the main problem here is that a user blindly gets banned because they took this to an like Aunt Basima's message wall, and he got in trouble for trying to get mad at him. But Aunt Basima should have really realized that the statement that he made is incredibly controversial in nature.
And Oh, and for the record, for one thing to start, religious topics like this on Battle Wiki also isn't even allowed. So Ant pretty much stepped out of line the moment he even made this claim to begin with. Which, if he never would have had this situation to begin with. And secondly, for some reason, and for some strange reason, it's like this is the first time that Versatile Wiki has gotten in trouble for making a remark about Christians, but like this is the more notable one, basically. So, yeah.
Oh, and we'll just quote exactly just straight from the site rules page. Derogatory comments on religious or political matters, both highly sensitive issues, will not be tolerated, as it almost always leads to mass hating, commenting, and negativity. Doing so will result in deletion of the comment and possibly a ban, and depending. While Charte definitely was not in the right here, that does not mean that Anthesima's behavior of making like a comment like that should be excused either. That's the general. All right, so want to go on to the next example, SuperBearNeo?
Yeah, sure, my dude. So basically, let's go over to the fact that mods, they basically have open beef, which not only goes against the aforementioned avoid bad blood rule and stuff, but like it's gone to the point where it's affected even character stats and revisions, which is a bad thing because when you have an entire wiki that like revolves around that, it kind of makes your whole thing seems like the whole basis comes off of emotion and not pure facts or any objectivity.
I feel like one example here, if we go to the thread above, let's go to like the first thread with Shadow Warrior versus the real Cal Howard.
Yeah.
Basically,
sorry.
Shadow Warrior is very much opposed to some of the things that I think we've Neo's talked about this dude beforehand. He's a pretty bad dude, I guess, to an extent. But anyway, Shadow Warrior kind of beefs with Cal because Cal has openly opposed Sonic revisions in the past, and then you get them firing back, like striking one of Cal's favorite verses. And you obviously know that Cal doesn't like any of this because if you go to like one of the other thread examples, if Neo, you could pull that up.
Oh yeah, sure. Happily pull that up. Okay.
It's this guy.
Yep.
It's the Alan Cal one versus Bill. Basically talks about how Bill downplays disgusting and all that. And while there is another thread that talks about planet level Bill Cipher, we're not going to get into that.
Yeah.
Planet level Bill Cipher that Shadow agrees with. That's just to show that there is some beef there.
Yeah, and you see, the thing that makes it worse is, it's like, what makes it worse is, like, these two aren't just some random members, but they're, like, people who have, like, immense influence. Like, not nearly as, like, Matt or, like, Saiku, who we will mention later, but, like, they still have influence, and the fact that they're doing this petty thing, that shouldn't be a thing because, well, of course people are going to take sides and they're going to take them as fact, even though their entire basis is going off of their beef and not any objectivity, which, again, is not a good thing for a site that index that kind of stuff.
And I just want to say, regarding one thing that's probably going to be mentioned, someone might mention, how can we guarantee that the real Cal Howard and Shadow Warrior are beefing? Because while they have publicly remarked themselves as friends, it's pretty obvious when you look into it, because back in about like when Archie Sonic characters were high 2A, this was aka high multiversal plus, the real Cal Howard did a complete like downgrade of the Archieverse. And then when that happened, Shadow Warrior entered into Versus Battles Wiki not long after. He's been doing a lot of Sonic revisions. Cal has openly gone on record stating that he hates them, and that they're just way too many of them, way too much of like compared to like Dragon Ball Super or something like that. And it obviously comes to show that he doesn't like the amount of Sonic revisions that keep going on with like Shadow Warrior and all that. And then someone like Shadow Warrior sees that as a complete wall to what he's doing, so he fires back at Cal. So while it's something that they don't state publicly, it's something that you can completely get from the fact that they just seem to beef at each other when it comes to like verses that they like.
And also, as I pull up here, here's like another example. This revision on Illumina, a character who appears in Sonic Shuffle. This is one of the more recent examples because this thread was not too long ago. Hell, I even commented in the thread itself. But yeah, this is a recent example. Basically, Coward, oh, I called him Coward, my bad. Howard basically makes a thread on Illumina, basically downgrading her from 2B to 4A at the very most. Well, I'm not gonna give my opinion on that. It still shows that even as of now, they're still beefing, and it's over some petty stuff as well, basically.
And if we go to one of the next threads, we have an even better one.
Yeah.
It's a Matthew. It's a Matthew one.
Oh yeah. Gonna click that. And as before I even get into this, you guys already know how I feel about Matthew, especially if you're on Discord. I've expressed my opinion about Matthew and stuff I don't like to do, but I'm gonna get into that. But yeah, here's the thread about basically Ant and Matthew basically going in at each other, which is one example of what's happening, by the way.
When we say that as well, it's kind of like Matt and Anthema, while they're both okay with each other for the most part, there are still some open beef. For example, Matthew on that thread is like saying that the very idea that we even suggest staff only is elitist, like saying that Anthema is elitist, and then like when Anthema refutes, he's like saying, you know very well it's not because it's elitist, it's because we're trying to quality control. And while disputing that is fine publicly on a thread, it's more like Matthew calling him an elitist, like going to that extreme, like indirectly, is just, why would you have a mod that openly tries to beef with your other moderators and makes a stonewall?
Yeah, and the thing is, it's like, you do real, and also the thing is about Matthew is like, the thing is, as a mod, he's just done so many things that just makes him, that he should have been demoted ages ago. And like among everyone, they like the Battle Wiki likes to denounce rants and like other stuff against them, but want to know what every common rant against them has? They always bring up Matthew, and you want to know why? Because he's a terrible mod. He's objectively a bad mod by the fact that he just openly causes stuff, is very arrogant, has gone on record to even insult other wikis, and stuff, and etc. etc. I can go on, but Matt, objectively speaking, is just a bad moderator. He shouldn't be someone in high position, basically.
Like, you can try to, if they're like initial like rant blogs and all that, they're just going on about versus battles wiki being like low quality, like, oh, because of profiles. See, that's one instance, but if they're talking about an actual moderator doing a bad job, like mocking users and not being welcoming and trying to like be indecent, that's basically, you should at least take it to heart at that point that, hey, there are some problems with one of the moderators on our site, maybe we should talk to him. And then there's this whole other public thread about a thing that Matthew does, and this is a very common thing Matthew does, is that whenever he personally does not agree with the thread, that he would close it and just like openly shut all discussion of it and then just apply whatever he wanted to the profile.
Oh, actually, now that I think about it, yeah. Here's the thing here's the thing, and also I can even, one thing that I didn't mention on here that like I can, because this is a whole thing about thread closure. If you look on the page that they made of Eris from I think it was the DreamWorks universe, I once made a thread on like 2B Eris. I don't agree with that now because I was stupid. Don't ask behind it. But basically what Matt did is he just said wank. It's a spiral galaxy, and he just closes the thread. He doesn't make any argumentations or anything. He just closes the thread after making that single statement. Basically just closing thread because, well, he doesn't agree with it. And this whole like, and it's gotten to the point where, like, as you see right here, they literally made it a whole like thread about just closing random threads. Which, again, that shouldn't be a thing. You should at least have a discussion, have some rebuttals, like an average debate, before you just close something like that.
Yeah, and that's already showing a pretty real issue here. Now we can go to weekly, because while we could talk about Matthew all day, there are other bad moderators on the site, such as weekly battles.
Yeah.
All right.
Pulling up weekly. Now, okay, for the record, Weekly, he's probably one of the better people. He isn't bad in the sense that he like antagonizes people and stuff, but he's bad in the sense that he's clearly biased and clearly has some favoritism applied to every one of his threads that he appears in.
So let's just go to one of the more examples of like Bayonetta versus Sakuya, and I'd just like to say, if you're gonna ask how do we have proof that these are his favorite verses, the thing is, you can literally go on his profile, look at the franchises he supports, and you could look and you could find Bayonetta on there, you can find Ruby on there, you can find Red versus Blue on there, anything like he's voted for against like a very huge mass majority of people, even people who are like experts telling him otherwise that are on the exact same verse as him. Like literally, just he's supporting them, and the Bayonetta one with Sakuya is an example of that. Legit have Gargoyle one and all that, just like going against him, saying that that's wrong, and then like he's like, "Oh, I don't care. I'm gonna still vote for Bayonetta, but you can close it."
Yeah, and the thing. Oh, my bad. And you see, the thing with that is, it's like if you're gonna like be a mod and stuff, like try to be like in the middle. Don't be clearly biased. Like I'm not saying that he's biased because he's taking Bayonetta aside, but I'm saying he's biased. I'm saying that he's biased in the sense that even despite the fact that he's clearly outnumbered, he's still taking the side and still being basically unwilling to change.
And if you pull up the third thread, the one that's like above his profile and all that, the 2327789, please.
Yeah, alright, I got that. Pulling it up.
This is an even bigger example. Literally a thread that has 30 votes for Polnareff, and then if we look on the other side for Weiss, how many votes do we see? We see 2. Who is one of those 2 people? Weekly Battle.
Yeah, and it's crazy too because like the thing is like after like what the majority starts to shift, you should at least like maybe consider the fact that just maybe that your character just isn't winning here, and that's just the way it is.
But when you have 30 people going against you, it's like, okay, there's a point where you're ignorant, and then like there's just a point where, hey, like you actually need to like consider the other side. And just like, it's okay at the beginning, but then when you have that many people against you, you have to really consider the possibility that you're wrong. And I'm not trying to be rude to Weekly in the sense that his opinions are wrong and all that, but I'm saying that if you openly stick with a character and refuse, like on a consistent basis with your favorite verses and all that, that just kind of shows that you're just being openly like closed-minded.
Yeah.
And I guess the Lapis one is also there. I just put it there in the sense that Weekly also kind of likes to apply upgrades to a lot of the verses that he does. Oh. And what I mean is that there could be a lot of evidence presented against it. And there was a lot of evidence presented against it on this thread with like gems not being able to travel at faster than light speeds. And then Weekly is just kind of shooting that all down, just going like, oh no, it's not like this. And even when there are so many people just disagreeing with it, nope. Weekly just keeps pushing that they're just all incorrect, and then literally just several of them get so aggravated with how Weekly is that they outright leave the thread.
Yeah, and that just goes on to show that like how unwilling Weekly is to change his like argument, even when he knows. Well, not I shouldn't say knows. Even when he's like clearly in the wrong here, it's just outnumbered. Like, say what you want about whatever Lapis speed is or whatever. I'm not too big of a scaler on Steven Universe, but the thing is, the point of the matter is, it's like Weekly's evidence or like points which is like completely outnumbered by the anti-feats and stuff. So basically, he's just wrong.
And, okay, I think Weekly is the less extreme example of the people we have on this list. I guess you could kind of dispute it, but then again, when you go to that one thread closure rule, and you see that people hate on Weekly and Matthew all the time, I think that also speaks for a sense that people don't like Weekly either.
Yeah.
All right, now let's go to the Psycho one. Oh boy, this is the fun one.
Oh boy, here comes a lot of the Touhou people are gonna be probably shook that we even mentioned fucking Psyche, but yeah, he's another dislike person, and for reasons we'll get into as well. Uh,
Look, even if like we can dispute on whether Toho is like high 1C or 1A or all of that, we can agree that the amount of shit talking that Psycho does is just like, okay, dude, even if it's like you think it's wrong, that doesn't mean that you get to call them some of the shit that you do. I forgot which thread it is. It might be the first or the second one, but let me pull up the first one.
oh yeah.
Nah, it's the second one. Go
Well,
to the one where
yeah.
it's this. Go to the second one.
Yeah, okay, I'm going to the second one. Although the first thread does show, although in as you've seen, I did show some examples of the Wikia do shit talking 1A Touhou. Now the thing is, I'm just gonna say I don't agree with it, but at the same time, it still doesn't give you a right to shit talk people who do genuinely believe that same thing.
Oh, the first one, by the way, just shows. Let's see. I'll just quote what Psycho says here. Legit, his quote regarding the biggest downplay and all that. Like, oh my Ultima, that place is wank galore, and it's wank like linking back to like a bunch of omniversal battlefield profiles. And the thing is, this wouldn't only be an issue just like if it was a one-off example, but there's also another wiki called Character Realms Wiki that used to have these opinions on Touhou, and it's very clear that Psycho has shit talked both Omniversal Battlefield and Character Realms Wiki, which is a huge no-no when it comes to the site rules. But we'll go over that in a second. Basically, what do you want to say about this, Neo?
Um, I would like to also add on to the fact that like Saiku there was a time and point where I kind of did have respect for him. I really did. But upon when I see what he's been doing to like my Wikia and stuff, and also what he said about some of my friends and stuff, I'm just like, I don't have respect for this dude because like at the same time, it's like I get that people have different opinions and you may not agree with it, but at the same time, it doesn't have you it doesn't give you a right whatsoever to just like insult their intelligence and treat them like they're lowly.
Let's quote from Psycho right here. 99.9999% of this post has been debunked over and over. Same G plus arguments from a
Hmm.
bunch of quantum cult. Just let those words sink in. Cultist wankers. How would you appreciate? I'm just gonna Psycho. Just like if someone like went up to like High 4C, just like all these Toho people were saying like, oh my god, just like, oh look at this, Psycho is like a goddamn retard for even opposing my opinion. That's basically what you're just saying with a statement like that. That they're just wankers and that they can't be right or anything like that. It's just shit talking with a statement like that.
Yeah, and here he also basically insults their intelligence, basically acting like they just don't know science or whatever. Now, say what you want about quantum physics or whatever, and it's a appliance to like debating or fiction in general, but at the same time, you cannot like shit on a person for like you cannot really shit on a person for like being not too knowledgeable on quantum physics, especially for how complex it is. But at the same time, it also doesn't give you a right to insult their intelligence, like I said, just because they don't understand this, well, quite frankly, complex, idea, concept. Like, not everyone's going to get wave function as full implications.
And oh boy, let's go to I think we like communicate what Psycho does enough. Because while there are a lot of examples that Psycho does at shit talk and all that, I really don't think that we need to go deep into that as well. You could talk to a lot of people that have had experiences with this. Just go to like any Toho like people in the Discord server or anything like that. Go like Juggertron and people like that could just absolutely tell you that Psycho is an absolute nightmare when it comes to the shit talking that he does. You want to go to like the point now where we're talking about the mocking of other people's opinions from other sites?
Yeah, we're definitely getting into this one because, like, even my own Wikia has been subject to this as well. So I'm definitely keen to get into this one right here.
And while we already have like Neo's just done a video about like his that one link slash downplay thread, there are other independent examples. Like here, for example, there's like an Archie Sonic thread asking like it being debunked. And while I can say that I personally don't agree with the thread and all that, when it's like kind of a bit out there with what it tries to preach, like building level and FTL Sonic at best, when you go to the people, you could just like look in the comments, like right here, a lot of downplay. Like, oh god, it's nonsensical. It's a nonsensical downplay to the point where I find it amusing from Shadow Warrior. Oh. And then you can go to NeoZex right here saying Reddit, and then putting a bunch of laughing emojis, just shit like that, or just like a laughing image.
Yeah.
And the issue with that is that that's obviously mocking other people's opinions. And let's go to the site rules. I'm just going to cite an exact example here.
Mm-hmm.
When it comes to the site rules, literally like what they say regarding this, that avoid talking badly about other wikis and communities, as we do not want any conflicts or bad blood. Literally, just that first sentence alone has been violated just so many times across like the examples that we have in these threads. Like, I guess you have Matthew just basically saying no to anything that isn't his opinion from other wikis. You have like Psycho shit talking. You have all these other users like Shadow Warrior mocking these opinions, which is openly a problem. And I believe actually, didn't Shadow Warrior shit talk you at one point regarding your views on Sonic?
Yeah, yeah. You know what's funny about that is we literally almost got into like a whole beef because of how badly Versatile Wiki does this. So basically, what happened, for those of you who weren't there for the drama or whatever, basically what happened was Shadow Warrior and My Hero, basically they were two notable people who basically mocked our Wikia and stuff because of my opinion. It was on Arceus versus Archie Sonic and stuff like that. They were basically mocking my opinion on Sonic and stuff. One of the things that they mocked me on is because I don't agree with a lot of the hacks that Sonic has. I already expressed why I don't agree with it. My dude Sigma over here, he has a different opinion on me, but we still agree to the notion that it's not wrong. It's not like right to assault each other just because we don't agree with where we have Sonic, which we do like have differently, by the way.
I can just say that there are some abilities that I agree with most of the abilities on the profile, and that there are some that they're even missing. But like, yeah, I can still agree with what's being said. That it's pretty bad to like go around shit talking someone just because they have a completely different opinion from you. Which is, again, it's not even that's just like against like common indecency. When it's a literal threat on your like thing, just like where you cannot do that. It's just like, okay, well, you're outright violating rules, so you shouldn't be doing this to begin with.
Yeah.
All right, now we can go like I guess the double standards one is a bit weaker with like what's being said, but
yeah,
I feel like that this one is a bit like when it comes to validity, it's also out there as well, just like when it's valid as well. So basically, one of the things a buddy of mine and Veritembus tried doing was getting plot manipulation for Sonic, and that got outright rejected. But whenever you get a notable Sonic expert suggesting it, it gets immediately accepted. And I think you can already see the problem here. It's like, whenever you have a prominent user suggesting something, yeah, we can accept it. But whenever we have someone that we don't know trying to suggest something, oh, nope, we're not accepting it.
Oh, sorry. And you know what's funny about that is this isn't even the only thread where this happened. You want to know how many times that like Ant has called on Matthew just to evaluate a thread and he doesn't agree with it, although the reasons completely go against what he says and proves are wrong, but yet the thing still goes through. Do you want to know how many? Literally, the whole system of Versatile Wiki is that like things don't go through unless like mods allow it, even when the reasons are like completely against them. There's been many threads where this has been present, but basically what was said here is like basically a mod does the same thing that Sigma and Timinus once tried to do, but yet they got rejected and his got approved. even though the reasoning was literally indifferent. So it's clearly
Hold
a
on,
show of hypocrisy.
You know the bigger joke here, right, is that they're literally the exact same images that were posted as well. It's like you can go to the Imgur link, and it's literally the exact same images that this other dude posted when it came to like his revision as well. So it's like, okay, why are we accepting it from random users? Why are we denying random users, but we're accepting it from users that we like?
Yeah.
And the thing is, people like Shake Resounding as well. He's a really like Sonic expert. He's a neutral dude, and I can say that Shake Resounding, he isn't a bad guy in of himself. But whenever these practices are like started, that's just a big problem. All right, any other examples you want to go over, SuperBearNeo?
Yeah, and for the record, mentioning Shake Resounding, also yeah, basically what Sigma said was right. He isn't a bad dude. He literally was the reason why the whole Shadow Warrior and My Hero situation got calmed down. He basically bargained with me to stop, and which I did. But yeah, basically the thing I just don't get is like versus Battle Wiki. It's just it seems to just not want outsiders doing things. It just wants them to have their like own system where they just do things themselves, which you know is kind of counterintuitive for a community wiki where like everyone just gives their input and stuff. Like if you start taking away like the word of like passerbyers and just makes everything based on the mods, then it just becomes like so null. Like the whole point of a community wiki just it becomes dissolved basically.
All right, and then you want to talk about what else do you want to talk about?
Oh yeah. I mentioned some stuff on here as well. Basically, I want to talk about we kind of didn't mention this before, but I mentioned this thread before. Like literally, for those of you who saw my recent video, this will look very familiar to you. But yeah, basically, this is the biggest example of wank and downplay ever seen thread, and this basically further enforces that they just completely are hypocritical against their rules. They just completely insult so many other wikias and so many other opinions and stuff. It's like literally a lot of them just actively mention stuff, and they don't even just dismount wikia. They mention fictional battle omniverse. They also mention I'm trying to think of the other wikis they mention, but
Character Realms.
Oh yeah, character realms. But yeah, they mention a lot of wikis and a lot of individuals and just mock their opinions, which you know is completely against the rules. And even then, even if the rules wasn't even there, for one thing we should mention is even if the rules that talking shit is like not there, it should be common sense that's just doing that is just completely rude and it's just completely like unnecessary. It's just a dick move, plain and simple.
I can also say that the more recent ones have been from if any of you know what these are, it's from the people from Seth's server, and it's basically the people who were are in the group of people from like Seth's community, Parrot's server, all that. Thing is, they're getting mocked heavily, especially for their opinions. And even if you do not agree with what they're saying, even if you think it's the most far-fetched thing and the most like exaggerated thing, like Outerversal Mario or like high multiversal plus base Sonic, you could think that that's ridiculous as hell. But still, shit talking it actively on the wiki is like encouraging bad blood, which is against the rules.
Yeah, it's just like yeah, you say what you want about Seth's crew or like anyone related to that. Say what you want about them, but like as far as their opinions go, they're still human beings and they still have opinions. You have to respect that, even if you don't agree with it, and even if you find it quote unquote far fetched. Which again, in debating, well, for one thing, it's just like feats and stuff. For one thing, debating, if you want to be technical, debating itself is just based, it's all theoretical, it's all opinion based. If anything, the writers are the true ones who decide how powerful their characters are, but at the same time, it's like still respect other people's opinions and shit.
Because anyone can be viewing Mario from wall level to outerversal level, or I guess there are people even arguing high outerverse or whatever. But there, regardless, like what range those opinions are, whether you're a person who views Mario like small city, who sees the outerversal Mario wank, or the outerversal people who see the small city downplay. I'm not saying that those are like downplay or wank specifically, but that's just how they view them. But if you see them in that light, you still like have to respect that opinion, but you can't just say it's objectively wrong just because it's against yours.
Mm.
All right. So, any other examples that you want to go over? Since this is your time, by the way.
Yeah, I once again mentioned this before. This was, and sorry if I'm mentioning some old stuff, but I'm just mentioning because, well, it kind of ties into what we're talking about, and it's a prime example. But basically, here's another thread where, we're basically Shadow Warrior, a person who we've talked about a lot, countless times here, basically takes shots at just, like, me, and also another person that's, associated me is Amphi. Basically, basically, he just like takes shots at me just because he's a follower of me, and also they mentioned the fact that like artists can beat Madoka and shit like that. Like, say what you want about that topic. I have my views, and other people have their own views and shit. But like, the thing is, they and also on the same thread, they also talk shit about my wiki once again, further enforcing that whole idea, which at this point, I'm pretty sure y'all realize is the recurring theme at this point. But yeah.
All
Basically,
right.
oh, sorry, but basically, yeah, they take jabs at me and some of the people who associate with me, and also just outright like disrespects me, and it even got to the point where like a friend of mine, the Tetramino King, had to like just intervene and just tell him to fuck off. But yeah.
All right. Now we can go to an example with another inverted tempest thing. It's a Zelda thread, but that's a bit different. So basically, I can agree that inverted tempest here was being rather aggressive with his approach. Like, he was saying that someone either didn't play the entire game or that they were just lying about knowing it. And while it's a bit extreme with what he's forcing as an ultimatum, I guess as it kept going along, Dark Dragon Medius, which is another mod who kind of does stuff that's a bit questionable, but at one point, Dark Dragon Medius outright threatens him with a ban because he keeps postulating that like Inverted Tempest is being this cute, like horrible person and all that. And the thing is, whenever like Dark Dragon Medius is trying to like make Inverted Tempest go out in this light, and he's trying to say that he's done nothing wrong, like Dark Dragon Medius is saying all that, right? The thing is, he's the one aggravated Inverted Tempest to go this far. So when Inverted Tempest says that it's both of their faults for taking the thread, like trying to like derail it, Dark Dragon Medius is quick to shoot that down as being a no, and that it was solely Inverted Tempest's fault, and that he did absolutely nothing. Anyway, Dark Dragon Medius here basically just insulting my boy Inverted Tempest, trying to threaten him with a ban, like saying, oh, well, other users have been banned for stuff like this. And when you outright do that, if you're not going to ban someone, which he didn't ban Inverted Tempest, by the way, because he's still commenting on that wiki, but when you do that, you're obviously going to make someone not want to go to the thread, which Dark Dragon Medi is even bringing that up as a huge problem. Like, instead of like giving him a warning and all that, just telling him that, oh, we can ban you for that, is like, that basically is encouraging Inverted Tempest not to go on that thread. And that just seems like unnecessarily hostile abuse of power. And while that might seem a bit extreme, it's just like you have to realize that Dark Dragon Medius took it extreme the second that he was trying to say in a warning post that he could ban him for what he's doing right now.
Yeah, and the thing is about that is like, the thing is, it's like what's happening is like Dark Mist is basically just overreacting. Like, there should have been no reason he even got like the ban thing to begin with, because like the thing is, Inverted Tempest, like, yeah, sure, say what you want, he like got a little bit angry, but at the same time he's not harassing Dark Dragon Midius at all. He's not harassing him. He, in fact, and if you want to be technical, he's in the right for just being mad, because he's literally like miscalling the scene and claims to like know it, which basically goes against what the two premises, and also just outright falls under lying, basically, if you want to put it that way. And if he was basically like essentially lying, then he has every right to be mad if he claims otherwise.
All right, and we're just gonna try to wrap this up real quick. You want to go over your everlasting example real quick?
Yeah, so I'm going to go over everlasting example. Now, this is just, this right here, what I'm about to go over, this is just bad on all levels. Like, yeah, I'm gonna just open up all the links and all the DMs and shit. This I'm gonna just explain. I'm gonna just wrap. I'm gonna just like basically explain it. Hold on, real quick. Let me just open up all the stuff. But basically, what this is, basically a friend of mine, so I won't say because I want to keep them anonymous. I don't want to like rat them out or anything. But basically, a friend of mine basically got banned and like a friend would block basically by a mod named Everlasting from Battle Wiki. Basically, and the reasoning behind that, as you'll see here on the like screenshots, basically, which were mentioned by the way. By these screenshots, basically, the only reason he got like friend with a ban and stuff was because Everlasting was abusing his power, and the reason why he was doing that is because Arnaki just wasn't in the same kinks and wasn't into role playing with him and stuff. Basically, he abuses his power because, well, he's just okay. Sorry. Basically, he just abuses his power because like Arnaki. Oh shoot. Well, it's not Arnaki, but like someone else. I didn't really say their name per se, but like basically, sort of like something else. But basically, this person, just like gets us. Basically, just like gets friend with a band just solely because of the fact that they didn't have the same kinks as them, and also just wouldn't even roleplay whatever. And also because of the fact that like he was constantly being harassed and stuff. I'm not sure what this will fall under, but it's not a good thing to harass someone, especially because of the sole fact that their kinks just doesn't meet up with you, which is kind of bizarre when you think about it.
And yeah, that's pretty bad. But another example is, let's just go over Fluorine being banned.
Yeah.
Fluorine, we got these. This basically came from another friend, but Fluorine got banned for let's see, posting an image that was doxing. Okay, let's see, what do we qualify as doxing? Well, according to Fluorine's account, if you want to click on the images of him being doxed, please.
Oh yeah, sure. I'll click on the quote unquote scans of him being blocked.
Him being blocked from the wiki and him doxing was actually him posting an image from Cal Howard's public YouTube account, and let's see, Cal Howard has shared this around as well. Okay, that's very questionable in of itself. How is that doxing if this user right here at Cal Howard is making it completely known that this is him? And his name is apparently Caleb Howard, and I don't want to go into that, but like, we don't have a link for that channel. But when you look at it, his name is literally the real Cal Howard on like the wiki and all that. Cal Howard and Caleb Howard are literally just like, take off the EB ending and then you get Cal Howard. It's like, okay, I don't know why you can really complain when you put your real name into your exact username, but whatever. Like, just, why are we banning someone for the sole fact that you spread this around and now you're just mad at them, so you have to get rid of them?
And like the thing is about it is like, this isn't doxing because for one thing, doxing implies that this would have been private, but the fact that this was posted online, that just means that it's public information now, and it's not doxing, it's not private information. So Fluorine didn't dox anyone basically, and they're just like either lying or they just outright don't know what doxing is.
Or you just don't understand the situation and acting on something. And there's like a huger situation to this as well, regarding several other mods that got banned in like a huger conspiracy. I'm not gonna go over that, but basically, I guess that whole thing from like last year kind of shows that there is a huge issue on Versus Battles Wiki staff alone. But I want to go over one more thing. We're not going to like go over anything like more examples, but basically when it comes to what's the problem on Versus Battles Wiki, one of the bigger issues is obviously the shit talking that they do of other people. There are a lot of users and all that who get favored over others. There are mods and users who beef with each other. There are mods that beef with each other. And overall, when you do all these type of stuff with like all these bad, there's like bad staff members there. I'm not saying all of them are, but there are bad ones there. And whenever you don't do anything about it, you're just trying to like blindly ignore the criticism that other people are giving you on like, hey, this user is doing this. I like Matthew and Weekly are psycho. And you outright ignore that, then like, if you're not even like talking to them about it, it just comes off as the fact that you are being willfully ignorant and allowing your community to be dysfunctional. And this is the exact reason people don't like versus battles, because they have a very like corrupt system as it like comes off to them. It's like people are like sheep to them. It's very like authoritarian and like how people view it. And I'm not saying that you have to appeal to the masses, but there are obvious like criticisms that are being made, and versus battles is ignoring it. That's the bigger issue. It would be one thing if they tried to fix these issues, but the thing is that they ignore every criticism and they just say, "Oh well, please don't criticize us and all that, please."
And like the thing is, going back on the flooring thing, I'm not giving another example, but to elaborate on that, that's essentially what happened to flooring as well. Aside from that, that's another reason why he and some other people got banned, basically, for just criticizing versus Battle Wiki and stuff like that. And for flooring, it was even worse because it wasn't even on the wiki itself, it was off-site.
And off-site drama, like, okay, if Cal is doing this off-site, and it's just like it was shared off-site, what happens off-site stays off-site. It doesn't go into insight. If I say something about someone off-site, like I don't like let's just say I'm a moderator on Omniversal Battlefield Wiki. Let's just say I don't like Jake, which is one of the people on there. I don't think Jake is going to care because that wasn't on the main wiki. I'm not trying to take that to the wiki and like make that a huge issue. If I say something like that though, like on the wiki, then that's an issue because like I'm openly like trying to give a like bad opinion of like Jake and all that.
And also,
and what? Sorry, you can go.
Okay. And the funny thing about that is, what's even more funny about this is because the whole drama that they're bringing of banning all these people, they literally brought an off-site thing and brought it onto the Wikia, literally going against their own rules and like unironically breaking the rules themselves without even realizing it.
So overall, what are we asking for? Well, we're asking for users, number one, to realize that there is an issue with with like versus battles wiki. Number two, that we want versus battles to at least try to fix some of this. Now, you can't obviously make it perfect and all that, but these are issues that, like, even if some of this might seem like it's subjective, the things like rule breaking and all that are completely objective and that they have to be dealt with.
And yeah, the thing is, like we said even before we started this, we're not haters, and we're not saying versus Battle Wiki is like the absolute devil and stuff. We want it to change, but at the same time, it's like versus Battle Wiki, it's like it's just willingly turning this left cheek and just like not listening to anything that it's saying when it has clearly blatant problems that everyone can notice. It's like they just don't want to change. It's just like staying in the same blind situation that they were in. There's a reason why versus Battle Wiki is looked at even worse as it is beforehand, because not only because of all this stuff, but just because of the fact that there's just utterly toxic attitude and stuff towards like other mediums and stuff. It's like they just want to be at the top and just like don't care about anything else other than their own self.
See, here's the thing. Versus Battles Wiki is one of those sites that you want to like, and I know that for a fact because there are Seth people that go there trying to make revisions. There are people from like Amino communities and all that go there trying to make revisions. There are people from Google Plus who went there trying to make revisions.
Even I made a revision, although some of mine were a lot more successful and some of mine fell. But yeah, even I tried to make revisions because, like I said, I didn't just start off hating versus Battle Wiki. I supported them and even defended them against critics. But nowadays, I just can't do that because not only have they done me dirty, not only have they done my wiki dirty, not only have they done my friends dirty, but they just willingly haven't changed. They just done so many other people dirty, and it's just crazy.
I think I don't really have anything else regarding the topic. I think that everything I wanted to say has been expressed pretty clearly in the video. How about you?
Yeah, I'm pretty much done here. So with that being said, guys, that's pretty much all, folks. SuperBearNeo, peace the fuck out like usual. And, you know, be sure to watch, Who Can Defeat Remove when that comes out, you know. But anyways, that's all, folks. SuperBearNeo.